careful who you share good news with. That's a good one, because you want to share good news with people who are going to be genuinely happy for you. And that's one way that you can identify those people who are on your side.
If you had the choice to make your life worth living, what's your price? What do you need? Just find out, first of all. You just ask. You'll tell yourself, you'll be afraid because you thought, I'll never get that. It's lower your sights a little bit then, Don't ask for a 80-foot super yacht in 6 months. That just means you're stupid. It doesn't make it, you're not, first of all, it's not going to make you happy anyways. It's just not, it's not wise. You're supposed to be asking yourself this question like you're someone you care about. So you imagine you're talking to some 12-year-old kid that you kind of like. Think, it wouldn't be so bad if this 12-year-old kid had a decent life. So you too, it's it wouldn't be so bad. The universe wouldn't mind if you had a decent life. If there was a little less suffering on your part, especially if you didn't, foist it off on other people. If there's a little less suffering on your part and you made things a little better everywhere you went, it's the universe would probably be okay with that. So I think you could get away with it if you're sort of quiet about it. If you don't have a lofty ambition, then you suffer miserably. And the reason for that is life is really complex, short, finite, full of suffering, and beyond you. And so you can just lay there and think about that, and it's horrible. And so that's not helpful. It's just not useful. And so, people often say life is meaningless. It's no, it's not. That's wrong. Because if it was meaningless, that'd be easy. You could just sit there and do nothing, and it wouldn't matter, right? It'd be like you were like a lobotomized sheep. It's just irrelevant. But that isn't what happens. When people say that life has no meaning, that isn't what they mean. What they mean is, I'm suffering stupidly and intensely, and I don't know what to do about it. Well, the suffering is meaningful. It's just not the kind of meaning you want. So how do you get out of that? You note the baseline of suffering, which is very, 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 very high. And then you say to yourself, okay, I need to do something that justifies that. If you are not capable of cruelty, you are absolutely a victim to anyone who is. Part of the reason that people go watch anti-heroes and villains is because there's a part of them crying out for the incorporation of the monster within them, which is what gives them strength of character and self-respect, because it's impossible to respect yourself until you grow teeth. And if you grow teeth, then you realize that you're somewhat dangerous, or maybe somewhat seriously dangerous, and then you might be more willing to demand that you treat yourself with respect and other people do the same thing. And so that doesn't mean that being cruel is better than not being cruel. What it means is that being able to be cruel and then not being cruel is better than not being able to be cruel. Because in the first case, you're nothing but weak and naive. And in the second case, you're dangerous, but you have it under control. There isn't anything you can do to empower people, which is a word I hate, more effectively than to teach them how to be deeply literate and historically knowledgeable. If you're looking to facilitate people's ability to make positive changes in their own life, there is nothing you can do that's more helpful to that than to make them literate. And if you want to help them understand who they are in the deepest sense, over and above the superficial attractions of tribalism, let's say, you have to educate them deeply in this historical realm that requires the acquisition of explicit knowledge about the central nature of the human being. And that would be the distinguished citizen, let's say, someone capable of upholding the responsibilities of a citizen and someone worthy of the rights that are part and parcel of that. And without a deep humanities education, all of that disappears because it has to be transmitted explicitly. Everything should be equal. Everything should be equally distributed. We should strive for equity. It's wrong, especially if you're a conservative. Wrong. What we want are just hierarchies of competence. Not everyone's a neurosurgeon. If your father has a brain tumor, you probably want a hierarchy of competence for neurosurgeons, so you can pick the one that's the best, so that he might not die. That's what a hierarchy of competence is for. For the postmodernists, there's no hierarchy that isn't based on power. Well, because they think the world runs on power, and that's why they're willing to use power to get what they want, because it's the only thing they believe in. But a valid hierarchy of competence, God, we need those things, man. We need the best plumbers. We need the best contractors. We need the best carpenters. We need the best lecturers. There has to be a hierarchy of quality, and not only so that we know who the best are and can reward them properly, but so that we can reward them so they keep being the best. Female hyper users of Instagram are also, they're sadistic, Machiavellian, psychopathic, and narcissistic, and they optimized for short-term mating strategies. So they're promiscuous, and that's a marker for antisocial behavior. Antisocial people, broadly speaking, have more sexual partners. They start engaging in sex earlier. They're more callous in their utilization of themselves and others. And so,
would you call that toxic femininity? Is there such thing as toxic femininity?
We know what toxic femininity is. It's the female version of antisocial behavior is reputation savaging. Yeah, gossip, innuendo, backbiting, and females can be very good at that. Now, men can do that too, and they do, especially on social media. But it's definitely the case that social media enables female antisocial type behavior, clearly. And so it scales. We were talking about whether the feminine ethos scales. Feminine pathology scales magnificently on social media. And so God only knows what the consequence of that's going to be.